All right, indeed, a very, very good morning to you. Thank you so much for joining us at this edition of the Tackle. It's a common sense edition of the Monday of 26th September 2022. Tarehe 26 mwezi wa 9 mwaka 2022. Natumai kwamba uko salama. You're waking up. It's been a crazy weekend. And finally, we're here. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. Kama kawaida, ukifika, please like when you like. We get to know that you're watching us. And after you like, please share. When you share, you give someone else an opportunity to watch the broadcast. This is the 26th of September 2022. It's the common sense edition. And it comes back. Common sense edition makes its way back after siasa. Siasa imezidi, ilikuwa imekuwa mingi zaidi. Mnasema mnataka kila siku siasa. Now we are back to schedule. So it's a common sense edition every single Monday that comes to you from 7:30 a.m. to 9:30. Poleni kidogo tumechelewa. Leo kidogo. Dakika ngapi? Karibu 10 na kitu. Yeah, apologies for that. When you join in, please like when you like. We get to know that you're watching us. Natalie, please share. When you share, you give someone else an opportunity to watch the broadcast. So Eric Mwangi is back again. So Eric Mwangi from MARIDADY Motors is back. Amerudi. He's joining us today again for this common sense edition. We're going to have a discussion kama kawaida mambo ya biashara na uongozi pia. I've realized that business and politics interrelate somehow. Whether you like it, it's a forced marriage. Whether you like it or not, somehow they get to interact. And also IRENE WANJIku from REXE is back again also on the Tackle, the Common Sense edition. And she'll be also helping us make sense of our businesses post-election and what we expect as we move forward with the new administration. Tuambie mambo inakaa vipi. Nchi ni mpya, watu ni wapya, lakini majamani wale. Itakuwa vipi going forward. Good morning to you, Eriko.
Good morning, bro. Hi.
Good to see you.
Good to see you, man.
Hujaiacha kofia?
Kofia bado sijaacha.
Good to see you. How have you been?
Very well.
You're looking sharp.
Thank you so much.
Nani anakushonea na kitanga na sio mimi?
Sasa unajua siku hizi kazi ya presentation. You get coached from home.
La?
Yes.
From home.
The credits go back there.
Serikali.
Yes, serikali.
So let me attack last. I'm sure they've missed you.
I'm very, very excited to be back to this fellowship. And I'm very happy about the strides also that the TACO has made. I've been following the TACO. I've been following the comments of the tacklers.
Thank you.
I think there is real growth, a lot of good growth, very good comments, driving serious conversations. The outlook of the TACO and how it's taken seriously in the market today is something to commend you about.
Ala? Yeah. Kuko nje wanasema sisi ni watu serious.
Wanasema nyinyi ni watu serious.
IRENE WANJIku. Good morning. Microphone uko mbali na microphone. Steve.
Sasa.
Sawa.
Yeah.
Haya, sasa tunangoja IRENE kae karibu na mic. Sijui kazi ya Steve ni hapa. Eric, tuombe.
All right, let's pray. Everlasting Father, we want to thank you this morning for giving us the breath of life. And thank you for bringing us together online. We want to thank you for every person that is watching us out there. You know the concerns, the goals, the dreams, the aspirations of every one of us. We pray that you meet us at the point of our needs. As we drive this conversation today, we pray that you lead our minds, you lead our hearts, and that King in glory, it's going to be for the glory and for the honor of your name. We pray for our country, even as we begin on this new fresh leadership. We pray that it is your spirit that is going to reign, sovereign Lord, and that King in glory, at the end of the day, we will have a country that everyone can be happy about. We thank you, and we pray this trusting and believing in Jesus' name.
Amen. IRENE.
Yeah, it's good to be back.
You're not even telling us good morning.
Okay.
Or it feels too good to be back.
It feels very good to be back. I forgot the good morning. So good morning. It's really nice to be back to business. I think you're right. The last few months, everyone was talking about politics, but now we realize we still have to work, we still have to eat, we still have to drive the economy. So it's good to have these conversations. And like Eric said with the TACO, we can talk candidly about what the future we think as business people looks like. Okay. So thank you for hosting us.
All right. How have you been?
Great. We've been great. Keeping well at REXE Roofing. I always keep saying, I think Kenyans, one thing we've seen is that the resilience is really high. People are not stopped by, fear. There's talk of a recession and all that, but we still find that people are still willing to invest, to build homes, and that's really encouraging. Yeah.
Okay. Wale watu wenye walisema after elections walikuja. Kama bado hajafika.
Tuko na picha na wao.
Tunawatafuta. Bado tunawatafuta sana. Lakini then after court ruling.
Wakasema after petition.
After inauguration.
Sasa wanasema. Sasa after queen. Lakini sasa hii wiki tuko na wao. Yeah.
Wanagoja cabinet.
Wamesema tena cabinet kisha wanasema wanataka PS. Wanagoja CS. You know, when a Kenyan doesn't want to spend money, you will always find an excuse, everything. I said, Matt, after Jesus comes back, we can spend money. There's some such thing. Come on, please, when you join, when you like to know that you're watching us. I'm seeing the guys on YouTube as well. Good morning to you, YouTube guys. You know, we're going to support. I don't know. I can't seem to access my Facebook feed at the moment. I was trying to see who was woken up. Let me see if I can get some comments on the screen side. My feed doesn't seem to be responding. Kama kamekwama kidogo sijui nini inaendelea. So let me see if I can get, but I can see if you guys can Collins Miso Ike. So good morning to Taco, say hi to Eric and Irene. Good morning to you, Manuela. Good morning, great people from Nairobi, and be blessed. Asante sana, Cecilia Wangoi. Good morning to you. Nila Dash Otieno. What do you mean, sir? Okay. What do I mean? Let me try and understand. What do I mean? Honorable Wanga Augustine, morning, Gerald Talk. One thing bothers me and other Kenyans who might not be able to have access to such platforms. Why can't we have county assemblies standing orders amended to allow county assemblies to conduct business in English, Kiswahili, and local languages in the spirit of devolution? They are deliberating on local issues where locals are involved, and using native languages would bring inclusivity and electorates would feel they are part of the process. We need to have a candid discussion on this. And by the way, when the swearing in was happening, I realized the MCS. Kenyan citizen by birth, not sure. As Adam Safi, good morning, good morning to you, Cheriot, Macmas, I'm tuned in from Kisumu, Santa Sarah Bono. It's easier to rob Africans with a Bible than with a gun. They are approached by Kenya Kwanza to work religion at the slightest opportunity will only emasculate the citizens. No shepherd crazes their sheep daily because he loves them. The long-term goal is to slaughter. I think that is, you can come back with that tomorrow. Tuko kazi tunatafuta pesa. Kiwasema jana all the way to asante sana MC Kale. Good morning to you. Chama unakisho Cattle Deep John W Karaoke wa Masa. Good morning jana watching from Kayole. Edwin Mudosi. Good morning. Francis Rotich. Good morning sir. Good morning to you. Collins Kimtai start from Weben constituency. Asante sana. Iladlele say I to Irene from REXE Roofing. Kwani hujaona Eric? Ama mimi. Hujaona mimi. Hilary. I will give you good morning. So good to see you this morning. Good to see you too. Cecilia Wangui, good morning. Good morning. Kuna comments ambazo zipita pale juu. Manuela, good morning, great people from Nairobi, and be blessed. Collins Miso, good morning. The tacos AI to Eric and Irene. And the boy, I think I've read the one for Honorable Kipto Victor. Good morning, Gerald. Great work. Asante sana. Thank you so much. Yes, Ole Keeper, good morning from Loita, Narok County. Asante. John Drungumi, good morning to you. Joseph Kinodia from good morning, watching and listening live from Kikuyu. But just a quick keep from Great Wall of Kino. Good morning to you. Dennis keep quiet, listening live from Meru. Please play the national anthem for the benefits of the lead Kipchoge. And by the way, I expected that today on the dailies we'll have a full cover of Eliud Kipchoge. But as usual, the people we have on the covers are the politicals. Okay? Pongezi, Eliud Kipchoge. Congratulations, Eliud Kipchoge, for the win that you gave yesterday at Berlin. Kama tunakuanga na national anthem kweli Steve. Tafutanga national anthem tukienda. Watu wamesema hii tackle yangu inakuanga wananchi. Hata wakisema wanataka kusikia kitu yoyote, they have to hear it. Let's look at the traffic situation on the roads this morning. Looking in at Mbagathi Way. Mbagathi Way doesn't look bad at all. Not looking crazy this morning, except towards the roundabout. The roundabout as usual, kuna traffic kidogo, but nothing to really worry about. Heading in towards Aquinsco Deck. On Aquinsco Deck, Total Alingam roundabout. There seems to be some little traffic heading towards the roundabout, but nothing to really worry about. I think the Yamata Kawaida. Looking at the CBD, looking a bit clean this morning. Woodway looks very clean. Nothing to worry about, except on the Nyayo Stadium, the Aerodrome Drive. I think the exit there. towards the lights at Bunyala roundabout. It's still traffic build up. Looking at Nyayo roundabout as well, there seems to be some small traffic building up right there. Looking at Mombasa Road, nothing to worry about on Mombasa Road. Looks all clean. Outering Likoni Road, industrial area, looks a bit crazy this morning. Looks very crazy, very jumped up this morning. Looking at Outering Road, very clean. Nothing to worry about. Jogo Road, kama kawaida, kuanzia Makadara, traffic has built up towards the City Stadium. The City Stadium roundabout, that is where we're seeing traffic this morning. Looking in at Ngong Road. Ngong Road looks all clean except at some patches around Prestige Plaza and some little traffic as well from Ngong Hills Hotel heading towards the Kenyatta roundabout and Coptic Hospital, but nothing to worry about. Mtu akikwambia kwa jam Ngong Road anakudanganya. Looking at a junction, not looking good at all. Junction looks a bit crazy from Pathway heading towards the Junction Mall. And climbing up Mnyara Road looks very crazy. Kingara Road not looking good at all this morning. If you can avoid it, the better for you. Looking in at Kithanga Road, looks all clean this morning. Nothing to worry about. James Kishuru looks a bit jammed up from the Mzima Springs Junction heading towards Waiyaki Way. There seems to be some traffic this morning. Limuru Road, kama kawaida from Aga Khan Hospital heading towards the CBD. A lot of traffic right there. Looking in at Thika Road from Delarue up there. Yeah, hata si Delarue. Ya leo ni mbaya zaidi. Okay. Traffic on Thika Road today not looking good at all. Looks very crazy. Heading towards the Muthaiga Exchange. Looking in at as well at Kiambu Road. I think there should be a spillover from Thika Road. From DCI headquarters heading towards the Muthaiga Exchange. It looks very crazy this morning. CBD, inbound Pangani, Ngara, not looking bad at all. I think the traffic is normal. Hakuna kitu ambayo inafaa ikulete wasiwasi. Let me know how the traffic situation is looking on your road this morning. Iko. This is for Kipchoge. Eliud Kipchoge, thank you so much for making us proud as a country. You remain the only goat. Leo na watu wameka na goat, by the way, sio mbuzi. Na watu wameka mbuzi against Kipchoge. God is the great of all times. The great of all times. That is God, Eliud Kipchoge. Thank you so much for making us proud always. And I wish that as a country we could honor such people more than we honor the people who don't really do much for this country. So pongezi Eliud Kipchoge. If in case you don't feel honored this morning, just know that we've honored you on the tackle. Thank you for making us proud. We are proud of you as a country, and we are proud of you as a country. Any message that you have for Kipchoge, Rico?
These are people that are under-celebrated. I mean, the kind of determination and resilience that they show and the kind of marketing value they get, brand Kenya. You know, by the time they are touching that finishing line, you have millions of eyes on them, seeing the colors of the country, seeing, you know, a great man from our soil taking that victory home. I think we underestimate how much positive celebrated. Like you said, we would have expected better focus, you know, on that man, just congratulating him. But we take the moment this morning here at the taco to tell him, congratulations, Kipchoge. You are inspiring a generation. Yeah.
Nini ufanya usikimbie? Nini?
I think my like they say, my talents lie elsewhere. Sisi ni wenye hata tukiota kama tunakimbia kwa ndoto, unaamka karibu faint.
Can I give you a secret? This is masema ndoto. If you have a dream of being chased when you're sleeping, and you don't want to be caught, never sleep with your legs kunjwa like this. See, kunja biku kama malalo utashikwa. Always sleep with your legs straight. That is a free advice, I'm telling you. Irene, good morning. So what stopped you from running?
I think we are all gifted differently. That's not my calling.
Who was supposed to call you?
In church, we say we are called to do something.
Who was supposed to call you?
Since yesterday was Sunday, we were told you are called to serve somewhere. So I think I've been asked to do it in the private sector. But yeah, we congratulate, of course, Eliud Kipchoge. He's doing us proud. I saw somebody even suggesting that Nike should partner with him. So that's big. You know, Kenyans are recognizing what he's able to do. and for the country at large. I think sports are good because they put us together. Like, you're not thinking, where does this person come from and all these things. We all rise up, and even though the mainstream media is not covering it, everybody, their starters, all updates yesterday were really just saying, we honor you, and yeah, people are glued on the TV and everything else, just watching and being part of that moment.
I think, yes, Nike, I've honored them. I've honored Kipchoge. I think they've been working with him for some time now.
Yeah.
But I think as a country, we need to do something more. Instead of naming roads, especially after politicians, why can't we name them after such heroes? Why is that we don't have even this expressway where they should be named Kipchoge? Why are we calling them? See, do it Kipchoge.
Kipchoge Expressway.
Yeah, Kipchoge Expressway.
Sounds good.
Because it's as fast as Kipchoge.
Kabisa.
So why is it that we honor the wrong people in this country? Is it that we...
Maybe because sometimes there is a bit of traffic, so they don't.
On the expressway, there's traffic on the expressway.
Sometimes.
I've not encountered it on the expressway myself, but I haven't used it quite often. Yeah.
You know that believer on the expressway. Unajua unalipa tu watu wasipotumia. Deni lazima tutachukua tutailipa. And pongezi once again, Eliud Kipchoge, congratulations on making this country proud and also making us as a people proud. There could never been a better time to be a Kenyan than yesterday when we saw you moving in and getting the gold and getting us win. The screams and the excitement that came out of your win. I mean, it's something to be proud of as a country. I think as a country we are amazing. Kenya is amazing. Tu za zingine tu kuna kashetani anakuwa ametutembelea kidogo. As a country, I think we're amazing people. Sure. We have the best people. We have the best talent. We have the best country that we could ever have. I mean, it's exciting to be back again. Yeah. Anasema kuna kiatu ya Kipchoge from Nike. It is waiting to see. Iko wapi? Where is it? That's what I say. I think the kiatu is coming up. But anyway, Eriko, how was business been like during campaigns and elections and all that?
Of course, there was a big slowdown of business before the elections. It always happens because, of course, the political season creates a level of anxiety in the marketplace where people don't want to make particularly the bigger purchase decisions. For the basic needs that you have to continue buying. But for somebody who is not selling basic goods like Irene and myself, you will find that it is always easier for the customer to say, wacha tugoje venye hii election itaenda, wacha tuone venye kutaenda August, alafu tutamake hiyo decision. So there is that cloud of anxiety that is always created by elections in the country that makes people slow down when it comes to making purchase decisions. So there was a real slowdown. Business was completely in slow motion before the elections. Yeah.
All right, Irene, how's it been like?
Yeah, so it's true that, we are dealing with I would say high value products. And so what happens is that people will adapt that, like, let's wait after this, we'll have that conversation. But I also think, being in business is also about resilience. I think we've both been in business for more than 10 years. So we know that it's just like a phase that comes in, and then after a few months, then things tend to, or even sometimes, though it can take more than a few months, but we know that at some point things will tend to resolve. And I think one of the most important things there for businesses especially is that element of being resilient and some form of grit. I saw somebody saying that most people they were speaking to during this season, they were saying, oh, acha tulifunga, whatever had opened, like we decided to close it down, because probably the revenues during the last 3 months were not as they were, let's say, in the beginning of the year. But like I'm saying, the most important thing is that we still have to think more about long term. You see, even in the stock market, I see people, when the stock goes down, it doesn't mean now you've lost everything, yeah? You can still wait, and then it's a long-term goal, or rather a long-term game, yeah? At some point, the things will tend to resolve. We are also hopeful at the moment that, we'll see more money in circulation. How? Probably those spending bills that we know are owed to local suppliers, local service providers, so we are hopeful that we should start seeing some income coming in. I know this might sound a bit controversial because there are also people that are saying, the country, tighten your belt and all that. But at the end of the day, people must drive somewhere where Eric comes in. People have to live somewhere. So some of these are almost like basic needs that we still have to push for them. Yeah.
All right. So how does it feel now? We are a couple of weeks post the elections. Another one post petition. It looks like you're not really completely out of the woods. And I've seen some gentlemen sometimes they show up and say, Leo, tunatembea tunaingia you have Supreme Court. How does it feel now? Do you feel a sense of optimism in the environment?
Yeah, there's a lot of calmness that has come in. And let's also say that this time round, Kenyans really have done really, really well. People are looking at us and they are feeling that democracy is working in this country. We didn't see the usual chaos and violence and political chaos that we've been known for in the past. When the ruling, we were told wait for the ruling, people waited. The decision was, some said they will accept, they didn't accept, but they agree with the court's decision, whatever that meant is. But in short, it meant that we are respecting the rule of law in the country, which is also quite good because now we are able to start working on the business side. There's peace. You can't have business without peace. You remember even during a few days after elections, the roads were clear, nobody was going to work because we're just having a wait and see. But once a decision has been made, whether you are supporting whichever side, the fact remains that now we are back to work. As soon as this week, even we've seen a lot of inquiries coming back in. So people are ready and they're saying, let's get back to business. Yeah, so there's also an optimism that has come in because with every change, because there is a change, we have a new president in town, and with any change, and this is at a personal level, by the way, sometimes you can choose to see the bad, or you could also switch your mind and yes. So.
Proceed.
We have that element of what do you want to see? Yeah, what do you want to see? If you start looking at it, like now we already got the subsidies, let's say for the fertilizer, and some people are saying, so do we now eat? You see, that has been very negative. You can also choose to see the other side of this. We are empowering our farmers. We expect to see, even the good things will take time. So I think if you speak to a group of people who feel that they're very optimistic, they'll give you reasons as to why. And to me, and probably Eric can confirm this, in business, we don't act a lot on pessimism because then you will close your business. Yeah. So it's also a matter of, as Kenyans, we need to really think about Thanksgiving also, because sometimes we are so quick to say, this won't even work, this won't even help us. But in most of those instances, we don't say, what did we want? What did we hope? Like, there are no solutions. These people who have a problem for every solution. You present a solution and somebody has you shouldn't have done that. But then you'll say, what should I have done? Let me think about it. So I think in terms of how the outlook is, of course, it's still also cautious because we also don't want to be ignorant of what is happening, not just in Kenya, but across the world. We are just coming from the COVID pandemic. There are other issues. Russia, we still have that. Somehow we are developing economies. Whatever happens in developed countries, we will feel it as a developing economy. However, that's not the end of it. We can still do the best that we can in our immediate area of influence. Okay. Yeah.
All right. Smart Smile, Dental Training, good morning to you. Bernard Isaka, good morning to you. Princess A, good morning to all. I'm watching live from Mukunda 002. Benry Kimurai, good morning. Team Tackle from Seattle. Good to see you. You guys from Diaspora, Seattle. Seattle. Eric, what do you feel?
I think we are in that moment after the wedding day. I'm sure you've been to many weddings, Gerard. And after every wedding day, there are people who are happy. And then, of course, there are people who are not happy. The exes are never happy about the wedding, are they? So you will find
not sure about that.
there's a lot of, we have two kinds of mindsets in the country right now. And I think that is what continues to worry me, for us to bring our country to a point whereby whether or not it is my candidate that wins the election, I will still wish them well for the benefit of the country. So I think the outlook right now is, of course, better than it was before the elections. There is more calm. The anxiety is less. We have proven once again that an African country can transition power peacefully and in an orderly manner. That is a big message to the world. We were joking the other day somewhere that the international media was idling in Nairobi. And they were very bored because, they come to look for smoke and fire.
There's none.
And this time there was none. There was no smoke or fire. So we need to give it to ourselves as a country that really, when it comes to politics and democracy, we have made a stride forward. But the effect of politics on, the normalcy of life in terms of business and people continuing with their lives is still there, and we need to recover from that. So right now, I would say, like my colleague says, there's a need for us to rebuild hope and optimism. People have breathed out from the anxiety that is caused by the elections. But now that the elections are over, people still have to go back and face the realities of their lives. People still have to pay their rent, they have to buy their food, they have to pay school fees. It's a moment of truth. Yeah, and this moment of truth is real for everybody. It is real for the citizens. It is also real for the people who got the power, and also for the people that didn't get the power. And one of the things that I was thinking about this morning, Bitok, is that this is the only government that has no time for honeymoon. Okay? There's no time for honeymoon. It is straight to work, rolling up the sleeves and starting to work. People take the promises that politicians make during their campaign seriously. And I like to say that many people really do not vote in politicians to power. They vote in their dreams. They vote in their aspirations. They vote in the things they want to see. So whoever it is that got power, whether you got power as an MCA, or you got a position as an MP, or you got a position as a senator, women rep, governor, or even the high offices of the president and the deputy, I think they need to be reminded that people really were not voting them in. They voted their dreams. They voted their aspirations. And this is a moment of truth. The moment of truth begins to unfold. The people begin to interact with the leadership that they chose to see, are you going to deliver on the promises that you made to us? Because those are the promises that we voted in. People voted in because they want, a lower cost of living. People voted because they want, the concerns that people have in the education sector addressed, the economic concerns that people have. Those are the things that people voted for. The people voted those things in. So, like I say, no time for honeymoon. Straight to work, because people will begin to ask for results as soon as yesterday. Okay? And when people begin to ask for results, it can lead to either a moment of triumph for the country. People can feel we are happy, our expectations are being met, or the frustrations that people had can continue to pile up and to vent up, and we know that the outcomes of such is not good for the country. Yeah.
All right. Also, there's another thing that people are complaining. Kenyans have been feeling like, yes, some are saying, yes, we needed it. Some are saying, no, you didn't need it because it's like removing money from your right pocket to take it with the left. Then you turn it again. You throw 20 shillings on the floor, then you return the other ones on the left pocket. What are your thoughts on subsidies, Irene?
Well, I think the subsidy was not a permanent way of life. I think we need to start there, because some people are saying, look at the governments you voted in. They've already started with scrapping off the subsidies. That's why it's a subsidy. It's something that is there for some time to cushion an economy, but it can't be sustainable, because then when you do that, it also means that the government can't even meet its normal operations. Yeah, they can't run their operations. We can't pay the debts because they are there. The debts are there, and they need to be
they need to be paid. So in my opinion, it's just that probably the communication of the message that people are feeling, oh, look at what has already happened. It was going to happen with whichever government. Even in other economies, you find that these subsidies are there. It's like even during COVID, you saw that we got some relief on paying of taxes, the pay as you earn and so on. But then after some time, that relief was taken away because there's also a budget and the budget must be funded. What I think about the government model, the new government that is, they're talking also about the bottom-up kind of economy. And the issue is this: why are people complaining about, let's say, when the subsidies have been scrapped off? It's because probably they feel it's now much more difficult to be able to meet their basic needs, food, shelter, housing, education, and all this. Some of these things are already in the Big Four. They were supposed to be taken care of there. And probably we'll see this coming back because I also saw that the housing issue is going to be part of what this government is going to do. So if we are able to meet our basic needs, then, and you have some disposable income, then wouldn't be. So the subsidy is just a symptom. The main issue is, why are people complaining? It's because you feel, after now I pay for this, I have nothing left to save, whether it is in SSF or whatever else, or wherever it is you're supposed to be saving. So we need to find a way to work on the basics so that even when these subsidies are taken away, that the impact is not that strenuous. Because at the end of the day, the people really that are feeling hit by the subsidies, let's be honest, I don't think Eric has stopped driving his car because the subsidy has been taken away. But now there's somebody who
actually any Kenyan who has a car has not stopped driving.
Exactly.
Yes.
But now there's somebody who is calculating if my bus fare is going to cost me this now, because we already saw the public transport saying expect these changes to happen. So who is suffering most? It's the economy we are talking about, the bottom economy. And I think if the agenda to really work bottom up works, then we are able to, some of these complaints are going to go. But of course, with most things, like we've said, it will take time. Usually there is that curve. You do an impact here, but you will feel it at a different time, maybe 3 years, 2 years. And I think that's where we keep hearing, we'll have to tighten our belt a few more years, 2 years, whatever time it's going to take. But if it's something is going to be done, then it's going to happen, and it will change the economy, starting from having more disposable income.
All right.
Yeah.
And why does it always have to be the belt or being tightened? Anyway, so should the market be allowed to
but even the government is being asked to tighten.
So even the government has a belt?
Yeah, even the government. Now it can't be just the citizens that are tightening their belts. The government is also now it's at the spotlight, being asked, reduce your expenses, reduce these additional positions, hire people on merit, not just because you also want to reward, the system of, I want you to do this for me, so I'll put you in this position. But then the output that you have is not commensurate to the pay you are receiving. So I think this tightening of the belt has to be from both sides. The citizens can't tighten the belt while the government is spending as they wish. Everybody has to do it for some point. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So the market should the market be allowed to operate naturally?
What do you mean?
Without the subsidies, like, okay, if the price of fuel per barrel is high globally, then allow it to be a bit low, or then allow it to be low. Should it be allowed to operate naturally?
Of course, there are always some checks and balances. Like, even you can't just sell your commodity however you want. There are trade factors that come into place. But in terms of the subsidies, again, I don't think it's sustainable. And just saying that the subsidies are not there does now not give a green light that you can price your commodities or your goods as you wish. But we still have those regulations of how to operate and work within a market.
Okay. Eric, so what are your thoughts on subsidies and all these other conversations going around with that? Should we?
I think they sound good on paper. They sound really good on paper,
The subsidies sound good on paper.
They sound good on paper, like you're supposed to pay 200, I have subsidized you 50 bob. you're paying 150. It sounds good on paper, but the question is, really, what is the practicality? And if you look at the revenue models for our government largely depends on collection of taxes. So all the money that the government has on its coffers, none of it is coming from natural resources and that kind of a thing. So the money has come from the people, okay, in terms of taxes. Yeah, for you to now say that you're using that same money to subsidize the people, really, is an oxymoron, so to speak. So I think I support the view that we need to accept that life doesn't always bear good news. Yeah, and sometimes it is best to deal with reality than to engage in self-deception. There is nothing really practically like subsidies that were practically happening. It's money, you're being taxed here, you're being subsidized here. So the government is forced to overtax you here to give you a subsidy here. So in that regard, I think then the best thing for us as a country is to face the reality as it is, okay, and begin to ask ourselves, how do we bring down the cost of energy in a much more sustainable way, okay? The government has other options that it can explore, like it's buying power, the sourcing of the energy, where the fuel, where it's coming from. Is it possible for us to get better, preferable prices than for us to come and engage in self-deception of saying that we are doing subsidies? The other thing also that we must look at, Gerard, is the opportunity cost. The 140 billion of subsidies that we are talking about per year, is the area of application the best? Or would that money have better impact if it was allocated somewhere else? So I would say, like I said, there is no honeymoon. We have to look at the reality of the country where it is economically and begin to make the difficult decisions. This is that moment where the doctor says, I don't think the painkillers will work for you anymore. What we need to do is we need to do surgery. That's where the country is. Yeah. And we just need to accept that. Yes. If we are going to build a better economy for the generations that are behind us, we have to be the generation that is going to make the difficult decisions, stop making decisions based on political popularity and looking good for the moment. We make decisions that are going to put us on the right trajectory on the long term.
Okay.
Yeah.
Should the market be allowed to operate naturally?
I would say in some sectors, yes. In some sectors, no.
Okay.
For example, when you look at the health sector, okay? I mean, this is a sector that would really benefit from the kind of subsidies that we are talking about, yeah? Because it is a sector that is basic, highly needed, sensitive. For you to say that you want to leave it purely to profiteers and to open market forces of, you buy at these, you sell at these, then you may find that you can have very, very big problems. The education sector also, for us to be able to develop an equal society, education is one of our biggest tools. That's an area where we need to take money for us to be sure that the boy who is growing up in Turkana has equal chance with the boy who is growing up in Nairobi. Then we have to take some money to some of these sectors. So I would say that there are areas of the economy where you can, it's free. Let it be open. But there are other areas where we need to actually regulate and subsidize. Yeah.
All right, that's it from Direct Market. There's something I also noticed, I just noticed recently, and I think the biggest cost in Kenya is not actually the cost of commodities or items, it is the taxes, the tax regime and the levies on it. For instance, I noticed that when you buy a token, steamer, let's assume you buy 500 shillings, you only get 199 shillings worth of tokens. 199 out of 500. 199. So this is how the tax breakdown looks like. VAT, 61 shillings. Fuel energy charge, 176.1. Forex charge, 35.5 shillings. EPRA, or Energy, whatever, Petroleum Regulatory Authority, 0.77 shillings. WRA charge, I don't know what the hell that is, 0.32. Rep charge, 9 shillings and 98. That's almost 10 shillings. Inflation adjustment, 18 shillings. Or 17.5 thereabouts. So you end up losing almost 301 shillings in tax and levies. And you only get 199 worth of power. Okay, let's assume we remove all these taxes and levies. That means you can actually buy your power. You can get your
Double the tokens.
at 500 shillings. You can get what 500 shillings of vote of power. So, or even let's flip it. You get tax under 99, you get 300 shillings vote of power. Because then clearly you're paying more taxes than what you buy. I mean, do you think the problem in this country is actually the cost of items, or it is the tax regime that is so punitive?
You see, the tax is part of the cost. Obviously, it's part of the cost. And these are the things that we are saying. There is need for the making of the tough and the difficult decisions. When our revenue authority, for example, sets targets for itself on how much it's supposed to collect, and we've seen in the previous regime severally, it was reported that they have collected more than they had even set to collect. The question is, where is the balance? Yeah, are we going to measure the effectiveness of the revenue regime based purely on how much they collected, even if the collection of the same is killing the people or is killing businesses and all that? There is a need for a balance to be struck, because at the end of the day, taxes are collected to facilitate the running of the state, which is good for the people, okay? But are you going to kill the people to run the state? So that is the balance that has to be struck. It is a conversation that needs to be held. And we are hoping that now with the new regime, that there will be much more conversations, that there will be much more consultation and exchange of ideas on how we all can have a better country, whereby you do not collect revenue and kill businesses, collect revenue and kill households, or even produce, a desperate and destitute population in the name of, doing a 10 trillion or a 3 trillion budget and that kind of a thing. There's need for us to apply common sense in the big ideas that we have in this country. Yeah.
Okay, do you think the problem is the cost of living? Because I think that thing, I had never really paid attention to that. And I mean, then you realize that actually things are not expensive in this country. It's our taxation which is expensive.
Yeah.
Should you pay more taxes, or should you get more value? Which should be more?
You should get
More value than taxes, right?
Yeah.
So what goes on around this country?
With the issue of electricity, I don't know, probably we need an expert here from, Kenya Power to come and explain to us what is happening, because...
how do you mean we need an expert? Let's assume I come and buy shingles. So I come and buy shingles. You give me less shingles, but you tax me more.
I think it's because some of these costs...
There's corruption.
What I'm trying to say is, some of these costs that we are seeing, we are not sure. Okay, we see the taxes, yes, but then there are other... You've just read them. There are some that we really need to understand, what are they charging us for? Maybe are they charging us to put up the infrastructure so that today it's a distributed one-off cost that it's like if you buy a car today, you go to where you can get a car. The cost that you're putting in today is quite high, but distributed over a period of time, probably it's going to work. Like, for example, what is
how long are they going
can
to
you imagine
distribute?
if you had power or maybe you're paying less, but I don't know whether you were born those days when sometimes we would be without power for a whole day. You're told you're told that 8 to 5 there will be no power. That became 8 to 10 or whatever. Yeah. But then it was not expensive. Yeah. But right now we are also finding that yes, and I'm not justifying, like I'm just saying that we also have to start realizing there are some capital costs that we pay for. But the thing is also probably what you're saying, the communication is not clear. So when something is not very clear to the I think we need more public participation. When something is not very clear, you start feeling like it's a rip-off. Like you're saying, if you come to buy shingles from me, and then I tell you the shingles will cost you 3,000 per square meter. You're like, what the hell is this? It's just mabati. I can get mabati for 200 per square meter. You see? But then there are other things that I'm not explaining to you, that the reason it's costing you this much is because of go to the technical features, the benefits and all that. So if you don't understand that, you'll go around saying, oh, Irene is conning people with her. So I wouldn't want to put it like it is the conmanship that's going on. I think it's not clear what exactly is happening. Again, we also need to have issues of, we need to look at, we also need to start looking a lot into alternative
sources of energy.
Sources of energy. And I think we when we are speaking about what the government is going to do next, there was that issue of the Hustler Fund, I think, Hustler Business Funds or something like this. And probably these are also places where this money should be spent, like to help people innovate. I would like to get, let's say, into the alternative energy industry, but do I have the resources to do that? Chances are I don't, because the research part of it is quite expensive, and yet we know very well this is not an expense that you can recoup in a short time. But if we get some of those incentives, then probably we are able also to help in that. Because, again, I'm talking about developed economies, because we learn a lot by also imitation. Most of the things we are doing now is because some of the things is because developed countries have done them, and we are trying to adapt them here. Most of these countries, there are people that, especially residential, they are not running at all from the main grid. They're not getting any power from that. And that also lowers the cost of power. But if all of us, whether you are in machinani, whether you are in manufacturing, wherever you are, we are all being served by the same line, trust me, it's going to be expensive. Yeah.
Right. Kenya Power should hire you. Because Irene, I think that's a soft spot for Kenya Power.
No, but you asked me my personal, from my point of view, so I've answered. But if they listen and they want to give me a position, I think, a board advisory position.
Well, not one more taxes and explain it. But I think power is a basic tool of production. It is a basic factor of production. Actually, very basic, because without power here, if now Kenya Power, I hope they're not hearing me, then they cut this thing. If they cut all the steamer now, I mean, we are done.
We are done. We have to go home.
Yes. So you can imagine if you continually get a raw deal in terms of power purchase, then. And when you look at the charges and levies that are coming in on board, it doesn't make sense at all. Why should you, actually the regulatory authority is an overlay, because we already have a unit that manages power. Then you have a brother sits there to announce to you every month how much power is going to cost you, and they're going to pay them from your power, from your tokens. I mean, I think there's a lot of overlaps and all that in government to an extent that it makes things more expensive. When you look at fuel, for instance, the landing price per liter in Mombasa is way cheap. When you look at the levies that get loaded on board, then you find that's where the prices becomes crazy. And the argument was, instead of subsidizing, why don't you slash off the levies? But again, you see, we have our governments are majorly, they thrive on messiah mentality, where they slap you, then they bring you panel and tell you, wow. You see?
You will be well.
Yeah. Ulikuwa unasikia unaumwa na kichwa, lakini wakuletea panel. Lakini they are not telling you they're the ones who slapped you. What do you think should happen with that? Even as we conclude with that GM issues.
Yeah. I think
what do you think this new government should do in terms of taxation?
You raise important points, and I like to say that there is very little sometimes that the governments can be able to do to increase the incomes of people. Very little. But there's a lot they can do to reduce the costs for the people, yeah? Just by making sure that a few things are efficient. Gerard Bitok, right now, if you are to look at your WhatsApp, I am sure you will not lack, a fundraiser or two that are related to health. Yeah, somebody is sick, they need you to chip in, that becomes a cost on you. But what if that person could actually access good medical care from the village they are in? Yeah, it would mean that, all those people that are in that WhatsApp group, Shanghai in 2,000, 3,000, 5,000, would take that money somewhere else. So there is need for us to, to re-inspect our motives in everything that we do. And you will find that, for example, when you talk about energy, like KPLC, what is the motive of the management? Is it really for them to make more money from the people, or is it for them to also, while making sure that the organization is, of course, financially sustainable, make sure that power is affordable people are able, that Juakali person who is making, doors and windows can be able to be left with something in the pocket at the end of the month, after paying his power bills. So you will find that there is need for us to, focus our enterprises also more to be socially oriented, not just oriented to the bottom line, that we are always trying to increase the value for the shareholder, while killing the customers. That, if addressed, I think we can be able to bring the cost of some of these, basic needs for national development down. Yeah. Okay. We cannot always judge the effectiveness of a body like KPLC based on how much money it is making. I think that's where we go wrong. Yeah. Okay. We should also judge.
It's a service. It's a public service.
It's a public service. It's a public asset. It should work for the public good. Yeah. But when it is so expensive, then you have people, having to sacrifice so much for them to just have power in the house, which is not right. At the end of the day, they have no disposable income. The other day, the president was talking about, growing the saving culture of the country. These are some of the ways that we can use to grow the saving culture. People must pay for power, right? So if that power bill is too high and the salary is not growing, it's not going up, then how can they have money left at the end of the month to save? Yeah.
Okay. All right. And talking about the things that you mentioned, the president has proposed that we should add up, or we should increase the NSSF contribution. Yesterday he was speaking at State House and they say that there's no way you can say that as a Kenyan you're saving 200 shillings a month for your uzeeni. 200 per month for siku ya uzeeni. Okay, so let's say you start working at 30 years old and then you retire at 65. And so you've worked productively for how many years? 20 years, thereabouts.
Yeah.
And you've been saving 200 shillings a month. Aya, zeeka sasa na pesa yako ulieka NSSF. They're saying it's a joke. There's no way you can continue to talk about saving, you're only saving 200 Kenyan shillings. What do you guys are employers, you employ people. What do you make of that? Because he has spoken about it very passionately. Irene.
But also, okay, I agree. But there's something that was not very clear. I don't think the average, if you take the average number of Kenyan, that's what they are saving. That was like a statutory deduction, yeah, that was there. And this is what we were told, this is how much you do it. But then we also have other saving vehicles in this country, right? We have the pension schemes, we have the circles, we have
insurance.
Exactly. So there's so much more. The saving is not. So I don't know how it was taken. Probably also the context of what the president was saying. But that's not the only way. That first we have to understand that that's not the only way that Kenyans are saving. In fact, that is the least way that Kenyans are saving. Let's also talk about the increase. Yeah, because I see that now what's going to happen is that we will be asked again to increase that from the 200 to I don't know how much we need to raise it to. And this also, it's a cost, it looks like right now it's a saving, yes, but in the long run it's still, it's a saving. But currently, if you have 30 or 40, and some other companies have 1,000 members of staff, it means that is another cost you have to put into that, because you match, yeah, you have to match what the staff are contributing. It also means it's money taken from their pockets, the business, both the business and from the income of the employee. Again, we go back to the basics. Before we do that, we need to be able to lower costs. We need to lower cost of doing business, because where will I get this money that now I'm suddenly expected to be topping up in terms of increasing the retirement benefits? Currently, the cost, even shipping cost, clearing cost, are still very, very high. Of course, when we spoke about the fuel issue, we talk about issues to do with at least the president also said now we can clear our goods. If you want, you have now the choice. You are not just supposed to use the SGR. You can decide which mode you want to use, whichever is cheaper for you. That's still good, but still we know now cost of doing business right now is not cheap. So if you say now, on top of that, add more money here, then that becomes a problem. But if we are being able to see how are we reducing some of the costs that we face as a business, and then you are told from these policies that we've come up with, because we are not asking, and we've never asked the government to come and help us, do the business, or we are not asking the government to create employment. We are doing that. From the businesses that we are running, we have people that are running the businesses. All we are asking is how does the government make policies that support our businesses, reduce our cost, so that when we are being asked to top up that money, you're like, yeah, I can afford to do that. I don't have now to think about, do I go for a short-term loan? Do I go for an overdraft so that I'm able to put up with this? It will not be sustainable. At the end of the day, now what business people tend to do to cut cost, by the way, the fastest way for any business to cut cost goes to reducing the number of people that you have. When cost of doing business increases, the first immediate people will...
The first casualties.
Yeah, the first casualty, by the way, you've seen this. It's
employees.
Always the people. You may say, oh, we will try and buy less stationery. No, that really will not have the biggest impact. The first place somebody goes and they will think, which of these people do I need now to lay off? How does that help? You're already saying that the rate of unemployment in Kenya is very high. You're already saying the businesses that are starting are not innovative enough. They copy-paste. You have 100 hardwares and M-Pesa shops, and then they cannibalize each other, then they shut down. So these businesses are not going to be the key to employing. So the SMEs that are doing it, now they're the ones also we want to add more burden to. They will not sustain. You've seen people now who are running businesses and they've gone to politics. Why is that happening? It should be the other way around. Yeah, but we are finding that people are saying the private sector is not as strong. The private sector has so many wars that I would rather fight and do whatever it takes to join the government. I think it should be the other way around for a good economy that is working. Yeah.
Okay. Eriko.
I think Irene has made some very important points on that issue. And I would say that there is what we would want, but there is what we can afford. Veto for ground. And I hope, and from the speeches that I've heard from the president, I think he's rife to the reality of the amount of public distrust on some of these public institutions. We have to begin there, okay? Because if you're going to commit your savings that are supposed to help you 20, 30 years to come, then you need to have 20, 30 years of trust in the organization that you're putting your money in. And that is where the first problem starts to be talk. There is total distrust between the state and the people. And the people do not fully trust the decisions made by the state are for their good. Is there enough social proof that these institutions have enough old people that they are supporting today? Is there enough social proof that there are enough sick people right now that can entirely depend on, for example, NHIF to pay their bills? That social proof is the motivation that people need to say, you know what, it works, let me put my money into it, and let me put more money into it. Because I want to believe that the 200 mathematics that the president was doing makes a lot of sense. If you calculate that money and you factor in, inflation, yeah, and the ever loss of value on the currency, you will definitely be able to see that the 200 bob doesn't add up to be significant savings. But the other question is going to be, is the average Kenyan willing to save, for example, 5,000 bob, even if he can afford it? Is he willing to put it in that institution, with all the news that comes from the media houses every day on how money has been squandered right, left, and center in those institutions? So the questions of integrity and ethics will definitely come into play. And this is a long-term game, that for people to develop public confidence in these institutions enough to say that I am relying on them to take care of me in my old age. I am putting my savings there. There is need for us to, like we said, we have to take the knife and do the surgery and say, have you delivered on the promises? If you go there, for example, and you find that the people who retired say 2-3 years ago, are still chasing their benefits. Yeah, your dad is complaining every day from the house, I have still not gotten my benefits. What motivation does it give you as a young person to go and put your money there? These issues need to be addressed. They cannot be swept under the carpet. They have to be addressed so that there is proper delivery. Because this country, and it's across, whether you're talking about the central government or you're talking about the county governments, have continuously improved its processes of revenue collection. But there is nothing being done to improve service delivery, okay? And this has created total distrust to an extent that the people almost feel robbed, yeah, by these authorities, yeah? The mama mboga in the local market is doing her business on garbage, okay? But a county government officer in that county has the audacity to go and collect that 50 bob, that 100 bob from the mama mboga, without telling that mama mboga when that garbage is going to be collected. I think we have gotten to a point where we've become numb to some things that are so wrong, that the reason why the county government is collecting money from the mama mboga is so that it can be able to offer such services like garbage collection, sanitation, water, and all those things. Those services are not being offered. So there is need for us to bring our leadership to a point of honesty and servant leadership to say that, yes, you have the right. Caesar has the right to collect the taxes. Caesar has the right to collect, these dues and these dues and these dues. But after collection, what are the obligations of Caesar? Because Caesar can only maintain his moral authority to continue collecting those dues and those revenues for as long as he's able to deliver on the services that he's supposed to deliver. Okay. Yeah.
To 2000 is good, but there must be factors to be taken into consideration. For instance, due to high taxes leading to high cost of living, it is taking almost 50% of income of salary, leaving little amount to save. The government must intervene and ensure even the NSSF functions well, and SMEs must be considered and being given good conducive environment to do business. Okay, Honorable Wanga Augustine, a salary that has been overtaxed is again overtaxed while buying token. Will again be taxed while buying goods in the supermarket. Why tax every corner? Why? Because government taxes your salary. When you withdraw it, the bank deducts some fee because they are paying taxes. When you send it home through M-Pesa, it's again deducted because Safaricom are to pay taxes. A single transaction is surrounded by deductions that are caused by taxation. Government of Kenya is overtaxing. A single person on a single transaction is taxed and more than 3 times. Okay, watching from Puntland, Somalia. Good to see you, Honorable Wanga. And very sober, raising very important points there. And I addressed my concern on earlier comments as we continue with the discussion. I think I ought to bring that discussion on the table. And I think it was about the MCAs. You realize that a lot of MCAs have been struggling with. Let me see first. Moriango Kijana Vincent, good morning, Mr. Gerald. Say hi to Sir Eric and Madam Irene, tuned in from Dua. Please, something has to be done immediately about the killing of our police officers in Turkana. I think sad. It's actually watching from Maravin. When will you begin to open the TV station? Mukilipea pesa. Lipea pesa. Well, Jumajoni, Maridadi mwenyewe awaiting you here at Seattle Mall. Hata mimi niikie chai yangu, I'll be coming. All right, so it was the issues of MCAs that I think Honorable Wanga had raised. And the question was, a lot of MCAs seem to be struggling, even with expressing themselves. You say even in Kiswahili, it was English. One thing I've loved watching has been the swearing in of MCAs in county assemblies. Very entertaining, comedy. I don't know, does it reflect the will of the people? And does democracy sometimes retrogressive in the sense that it doesn't give value back to the people? What do you make? Because I don't know, I was just thinking, how are these counties going to be run? Some have argued that they are local leaders, so they need to interact in a local way. But then again, I'm looking at it and I'm like, okay, so will you discuss bills? Yeah. How will you discuss policy framework? How will you have conversations with the CIDPs? All these conversations around all these counties and all that. How will you make something out of it if you cannot even take an oath of office? Irene. And Mwanga is saying
it's difficult.
Mwanga amesema kuliko story mingi kusema MCAs hawajui English. They should be allowed to debate in their local languages. Give up on Muranga.
But they are also supposed to, with devolution, they're also supposed to be connecting to other. We have tribes in Kenya, so I think we have to stick to a national language. This is tough because I'm also really wondering. They've been elected, yeah. They've been able to convince people that they're the best to represent them. Yeah. So what are we missing? Because do they know something? The people that have put them in those positions, do they probably know something that we don't know? But do they need to, or is it an issue of first get it, then you will be trained? Because that also happens, that you are good in other things, but there's one skill that you don't have. So people think about it like that. Because let's look about the issue of accountability. I've seen someone say that sometimes the people who are very highly educated are very good at hiding things. So they are probably they will represent you, yes, but for every 1 shilling they bring to you, yeah, for every 1 shilling they get you, they are pocketing 99 shillings. So is it an issue of that this is the person we feel is going to be the most accountable as far as our needs are concerned? So is there a need for them to learn? Yes, but have the people, you remember this thing we keep saying in business, Eric, that you hire for attitude and then train for skill. So if the attitude probably, I'm trying just to think like the people who elected them, that this attitude is very good, this person is unlikely to steal, from us, yeah. Tukimwambia hivi, enda useme vile, hata enda badilisha.
Ama akiba inarudi nyumbani ama karibu.
Maybe hata hana hiyo hajafika hapo. Because they've changed. Why are they changing and picking these people? We even saw a very young girl, very commendable again, that has been put has been elected. Toto, I think. Yeah. Now I think she's even changing the name and, to get the good corporate. But why did they put her there? Because they spoke and said, by the way, she didn't even have a lot of resources. She was not moving around with the biggest cars, but they felt that this is the person who we are sending and they'll be able to represent us. I think in a way, this is also something that we have to observe, that people are saying, yes, you're very intellectual as far as your IQ is concerned, but maybe your EQ and your honesty, we are struggling with that. So we don't care that you can hardly communicate. We want you because of those values. So could that be what is happening? Because the issue is not just to say that we need to be educated, we need to be able to speak. It's also to ask. This person has been given this job by the people. You see, if they were handpicked and just a nomination was done, that's something else. But now we are talking about a position where you have convinced not one, not two, but hundreds of people to come together and give you this job. Why are they doing that? I think that's the main question, in my opinion, that we should be asking.
So we leave local issues to local people. Leave the local issues to local man. Okay.
And you can learn, they've decided, instead of you who has learned and you will steal, let's put you here with your good factors. Yeah. We will train you how to talk.
True.
Hey, what do you make of that?
Like I said, I think the country must end its self-deception. We have qualifications for every other job in this country. For you to become a nurse, there are known qualifications. For you to become a pilot, there are known qualifications, and there are bodies that will watch to ensure that every person who is coming to tell us is a nurse or is presenting themselves for a job anywhere as a nurse. They have met certain basic parameters that make them a nurse. We have to take political leadership seriously because politics are an important pillar in the development of the country. Whether you're talking about grassroots politics, national politics, or even county politics. And therefore, we have to be candid enough to say that there are basic skills that will be important for somebody to be able to execute their mandate as an MCA. Okay? And for example, let's take a very good example, Gerard Bitok. There's this thing we call somebody of sound mind. Okay? we normally say, for you to sign a legal contract, you have to be somebody of sound mind. And you can be kicked out of any office because, it has been proven scientifically that you're not a person of sound mind, isn't it? But if this person who is of not sound mind went to a particular village and convinced the people through dancing and, removing clothes and making chants, and the people in that village decided that this is the person we are voting in as our MP, what is the position of the society on that issue? Democracy is good. We need to strengthen our democracy. And one way of strengthening our democracy is creating filters of the people who eventually come to the platform to be voted in. We have that at the presidential level. We have that at the MP level, governor level. I think we need to take it down to the grassroots so that the people of that society, at the end of the day, they will be exercising their will, but they will be exercising their will on options that are good in terms of the execution of the mandate. Because communication skills, for example, analytical skills, are very important skills for somebody who wants to do any kind of legislation. What kind of laws is this person going to make? How will they evaluate the proposals of their colleagues, in the local assembly to be able to know this is a good proposal or this is not a good proposal? There is need for us to be able to say that for you to present yourself for this position, then you should be able to have certain basic qualifications. And the idea should be to make sure that the qualifications presented are not designed to discriminate against some people, but they will have some basic qualifications that are important for the execution of their mandate, making them fit and qualified to be able to help the people that are voting them in.
All right, okay. And some people have argued as well sometimes that does that mean that if you're educated, then you are more functional? Or you can make what it only means that if you have the common sense of communication, you can. Unajua there are kuna watu wameenda shule, gereza mingi, na can't work. Lakini pea kura, utamwona tena Yesu akirudi. Headphones on. Bugala Mwanyiku, good morning. Good morning. Good morning, who's on the line? Good morning. Bugala Mwanyiku. Hello, good morning. Good morning. Ahaya. Akawa ameingia na akalala. Anyway, Bugala Mwanyiku kwa nambari 0779-800-010 or 779-800-010 or 779-800-010 or 779-800-010. 779-800-010. Bugala Mwanyiku, nambari 779-800-010. 779-800-010. Haya. Collins Kibet anasema on issue of MCAs unable to communicate in English and Kiswahili, it's so why. Okay. Bugala Mwanyiku, good morning.
Hello.
Hey.
Wanabitok.
Hey, good morning, sir.
Mambo namna gani?
Safi sana.
Nzuri. Okay. Wacha nipeane kwanza pole zangu kwa watu ambao wamewawa. Upande ile nyingine ya Turkana. Area ya Baringo huko.
Okay.
Alafu nilikuwa tunachangia kidogo hapa kusema, mimi naona mna struggle kidogo kusema hao ma MCA ambao wamechaguliwa nini. Kuna msemo ambaye ilisemekana kitambo na mzungu akasema kwamba democracy is the worst kind of freedom but the best that we have. Kwa sababu gani? Wananchi wanapewa nafasi ya kuchagua mtu wanataka. So, that's just a reflection of who they want. Sometimes hao watu wa kizungu mingi wanakuwa technical sana. So, ukiona wananchi wanawapa kwa mtu ambaye hawezi kusema nitahifadhi, basi anajua atahifadhi kwa kweli kama hawezi kuhifadhi kwa kusema. Ni hayo. Asante sana Bwana Bitoko.
Habari ya ng'ambo?
Ng'ambo ni kuzuri, saizi kumeanza kuwa na baridi kidogo.
Okay.
Lakini tunashukuru tu, bado tuko tumdo.
Haijaisha.
Bado haijaisha. Saizi na pagani bwana. Hiki tulikuwa hatari.
Sasa bro. Thank you so much. Collins Kibet, issue of MCA unable to communicate in English and Kiswahili is so worrying. How will they legislate? It is good to communicate even if it is not a perfect English or Kiswahili, but as long as information is put across, and then they should go back to class and read part-time Even my grandmother and grandfather always try to read, and they are willing to know Kiswahili or English. That cannot be the excuse to leaders who are expected to deliver and communicate to us, wananchi. Minimum qualification must be set for leaders. Okay? Someone will tell you that you cannot regulate democracy. When the Bonga says, I disagree with Eric on MCA issues. These are local issues to be discussed in local languages. Okay. And what is interesting actually is when these guys are campaigning, they're campaigning in their local languages. So I don't know. Is that what they sell? But then again, what is the value? What is the value? What is the return on investment from the citizenry? Okay. Rosemary Kabugi, can Eric talk about installment tax? Okay. Installment tax before we get back to
I have seen that question, and I think I will beg not to talk about it because I'm not a tax expert. However, Bitok, I'll give you one of my best guys when it comes to matters to do with tax, so that maybe you can have a full session with him on matters to do with taxation. A very good gentleman. I was with him at Strathmore Business School called Mr. Ronald, who runs a firm called Ronald and Associates. So I'm sure he will be able to help your viewers more than I could. Yeah.
Okay. As if you've given someone to help us more, they should. Are you willing to talk about it?
So, I also have a contact we can host here, but I'm not willing to talk about installment tax.
I would like to know what it is that both of you are running away from.
Basically, the overview is very simple. It is that you have an opportunity to pay the taxes in installment. If, for example, you're supposed to pay 3 million of taxes to KRA, then you have an opportunity to pay it maybe as 300,000 every month, but you pay proactively. But I think on matters to do with taxation, it is a whole big topic in the market today that we need to let the experts in that field dance on the floor and educate the public.
Yeah.
Okay.
And also KRA is listening. So if we misrepresent them, they will come and ask us.
Don't worry, I'll protect you from KRA. I'll protect you from KRA. Don't worry, I'll protect you from KRA. I wonder you're running away. Okay. I understand better. Jen Mwambe, good morning, good people. Good morning to you. Good morning, Uruiwe and Yere Road Smooth following the program. Thank you. Aricha Ibrahim, good morning. Just say hi to me. I do enjoy your show. Hi, Aricha Ibrahim. Good to see you this morning. Thank you for always joining us. Dika Jabba, good morning. Good morning, GB. Good morning to you. Jameson Kipruta, good morning, guys. Following Gotea, IRENE WANJIKU, tuned in from Kamukunji. Hi. Okay.
If you allow me, I wanted to respond to the view of Honorable Wanga Agustin.
Yes.
That these are local issues that needs to be addressed in local languages. I think I would want to respectfully disagree with that view. Because, number one, we have to remember that today in this country, we do not have a single county that is under one respective community. If you go to Bomet, you go to Nakuru County, you go to Laikipia, whichever county you go to, there's a level of cosmopolitanism that is growing. People from other communities are living across the country, okay? So they are doing business. So you will find it that if somebody, for example, you go to Kiambu town, you cannot argue and say that every person who is doing business in Kiambu town is a Kikuyu. You have other tribes that are doing business in that county. They are interested in the affairs and the business that is conducted by the local assembly there. So for somebody to go to that county assembly of Kiambu and say that, no, here we communicate fully in Kikuyu and it's our local language here, then I think it is wrong, and it slows down the national integration that we so much need. There is need for us to agree on our national languages and make sure that when it comes to public offices, those are the languages that are used to transact business. So that if I am doing business in Turkana and I do not understand the local language of the people in Turkana, as an investor there, I will be able to follow the conversations that are going on at the assembly of Turkana, because it affects my business at the end of the day.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hi. I have disagreed with you, but they said in psychology, with all due respect, they're just about to disrespect you. Or when they say honestly, they're about to lie. All right, but anyway, that's it. You get it, Wanga. And also for me, I tend to believe, I don't believe in necessarily in certificates of, you need to have a degree, I don't believe. I think that's bullshit. But I think there needs to be some level of mental competence.
You can't say that on TV.
Ah, sorry. I didn't know I'm on TV. Okay. I want to say that they're useless. Okay, they're not very. I mean, it doesn't say much in terms of getting your competence.
Yeah.
Objectively, because a lot of people, well, they roll through the system of school, get a certificate. I've met a lot of people who have any papers that you can imagine, but even in that level, they cannot even communicate. They cannot construct a conversation. But then again, you wonder, how do they gauge this thing when they're electing these people? What is the gauging from the people? But then again, I have to insist that. I mean, even as we think beyond, as we think about having one of us representing us, we also need to imagine to what extent can they actually represent us? To what extent can they speak out our issues?
Yeah.
Sometimes we hear they are carcassing in Mombasa. So imagine as a jamaa mwenye haizi kula hoth pale in my village. Asa ameenda Mombasa lazima ongee Kiswahili ya Mombasa. When they are conversing with other MCS, fellow MCS, and doing benchmarking or having these conversations around exchange. So I don't believe, of course, we should not take it back to us. You need to have a degree, you need to have these certificates, you know. But I think there needs to be some level of
irreducible bare minimums.
Yes, in terms of mental competence. And that's why sometimes I really disagree with this system, nomination systems, because I think sometimes it serves the image, but doesn't serve the purpose. You end up having people in power who cannot necessarily, you cannot speak for the electorate, you cannot make things happen for them. So yes, Wanga, it's local issues. It might be discussed in the localest of ways, but then again, you need to have someone who can be local and can also represent you elsewhere, so that you don't end up having, again, bogus laws and all that. Because these people, again, are governed by these laws. If you don't make them for them, that works for them, then becomes a problem. Wanga, that is my argument.
And you see, the beauty is that in this country, you know, it's not just English. Swahili is a national language. Mtu amekubalishwa kama unataka communicate kwa Kiswahili, zungumza kwa Kiswahili watu watakuelewa.
Na si lazima ikuwe sanifu.
Yeah.
But just to add on to that, I think also the president said that they'll be undergoing some serious training or etiquette, communication. So I also I believe that those who are in already, because I mean they're inside, so there is really not much we can do about it. But I'm happy that they will be getting some good training. And then he said that's the first order of business. So let's hope they learn. Again, this is a 5-year renewable contract. That's how I see it. So if they go there and again the people feel again you didn't even do half of what we thought you'd do, then they'll talk to their people. So I do agree. I mean, I'm not disagreeing that yes, there must be some level of competence, but I'm also thinking that, you know, this is not surgery, that they need 6 years training. I think we are talking about the soft skills, the communication skills, the people skills actually. And if there is really that, I think there's even a school of government, I think, that handles that. And let's also remember this, yeah? Some people also, just because you guys are here and very eloquent.
Doesn't mean we are useful.
No, that's not. Oh my God. Can you be optimistic? That's not what I want to say. Some people faced with there's also the issue of stage, what's called stage fright, that you're given a microphone to speak and everything just disappears. Everything you knew, you don't know it anymore. So there's also that, you know, all eyes are on me. So probably let's not be very harsh now. Let's see how it goes. Yeah.
Okay.
That's my point of that.
That's your point.
I think there is a bias in that every time someone who has been to the school system talks, it looks like he's talking down on the people that have not been to the school system properly, probably, which is a bias that we need to demystify. And it's just like the way you were saying. Someone says, you know, I have a doctorate, I am a professor, and the people on the ground are asking, what does that exactly mean to us as a people on the ground, okay? And there's a way in which education, in particular in Africa, has been used for superiority, okay? That I am more learned than you, and therefore I am more important than you. And so it becomes a war of literacy levels. Yeah, the way we glorified the degree, and if somebody is a graduate, is perceived to be more important than the person who doesn't have a degree. That needs to be addressed. It's a social issue, it is there. However, what we are saying is, regardless of that battle, and it exists and it continues, whoever it is that we are going to put for any position, political or apolitical position, yeah, every position of service has particular levels of qualifications that are important. Yeah? Huwezi peleka mtu hata kupika kutengeneza chapati kama hajui kutengeneza chapati. That is a qualification. Yeah? So there has to be bare minimum qualifications for every position, whether or not it is political or it is not political. And these will also encourage and motivate people to seek competencies and to seek training in society to develop themselves, so that you're not given a responsibility for which you do not have the qualifications to execute. Yeah.
Okay. I think that's fair enough. Okay, MWANGI, I said, but Eric, which language did they use to convince the electorate again? Our electors do not understand English or Swahili. We don't can attest to this. Do we want to be a part of the business in the assemblies? Okay. Jacob Kibla asked IRENE WANJIKU about roofing material, why it's selling at high price. Ala? Shasha akwambia amesema inaitwa premium products. There are products, then there are premium products. Yeah. So she sells premium products. Yeah. Ama inaweza kuwa nimekosea. I used to sell for you mabatis. Maybe I'm not entitled to speak for it anymore. What do you explain?
Gerald. Yeah, so that's a good question. I think I need a whole day here to do a good presentation, but they are different, they are specialized roofing products that are maintenance free. You can harvest water from them. They will not rust. They do not break. We also have the installation know-how. So we are not just, it's not just about the roof cover. There is much more that comes with the roof. Actually, we like to call them a roofing solution, because we are talking from let's say the roofing shingles or the REXE stone-coated tiles, to the water harvesting gutters, ventilation, leaf guards to make sure that your downpipes are not getting clogged. So we are actually, when we give a rate per square meter, we are looking at a whole solution, not just chukua hizo mabati, piga nails na umemaliza hiyo kazi. After a few years, imerust, badilisha. So we are talking about products that have lifespan of up to 50 years. So you can see the major difference. And I think this came up when I was explaining that sometimes it's the explanation that is usually lacking, that I tell you this product is this much, and yet you know that you've heard of something cheaper, and so you are thinking, why should I be paying that much? But then when you come to now hear about the advantages, then you can see that, okay, now it makes a lot of sense why I would be spending that kind of money. You know where we are again, Kilimani, Menelik Court, come visit us, and then he can also, who was asking the question, Collins? Jacob, yeah, Jacob can also visit us so that we can have this conversation. It's a conversation we need to have in person.
So nikikuja in person bei inaweza punguka.
Yeah, discounts.
Okay. You only get lower prices then.
Yeah.
In person.
Naseme ametuona Taco. Atapata pia discount, yeah.
In person. Mimi niachie yangu. Go ahead, but one thing, Jimmy, I think you should highlight more on the subsidies, because I think this issue is a trickle-down effect that it will come to bite us as taxpayers at the long run. I think we have really discussed that exhaustively, so I don't think we should really go back to that. So just rewind the video. Towards the start, we spoke actually about the subsidy issues. But Mwaike Kakamega is in show. Okay, Kakamega is in show. Iko ITL shout on all comrades in Masinde Muliro University, New Fan. Thank you so much, Robert Mwai. Karibu sana. A new fan. Thank you. And say hi to all those guys who are coming in from Masinde Muliro. We have a lot of guys who follow us from Masinde Muliro. Please say hello to the comrades from Masinde Muliro. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. There's something I would like us, Irene had brought it up. It has to do with the reversal of port operations to Mombasa. Some have argued that it has become counterproductive. People who import, of course, are saying, finally, we can get back to making decisions that work for us. I don't know. I'm not an importer, at least not directly. I see people who import. I see Eric. I see Irene, because I have not seen her manufacturing the shingles in a corner at Menelik. So I think she brings from somewhere. She imports. I've seen Eric also as well. I've not seen the factory on Kiambu Road. You're not at this place, so I know you import. So I'm an importer by association. What do you make of that, Eric? Getting back to operations to Mombasa.
Maybe the moving of the business from Mombasa to Nairobi because of the SGR, a lot of things were underestimated. Okay. You know, like in terms of human capital, the number of people that you need to be working in that sector. I mean, are these people that you just wake up and move like the army? Mm-hmm. Or do they have other interests that they do in Mombasa and those kind of things? Mm-hmm. And I think there was also a bad taste and a bad perception on how the whole process was being done. I mean, you're shipping your container from China. Why is somebody interested in whether it is going to be offloaded from Mombasa or Nairobi? Mm-hmm. And both are all parts of the country. Okay. So I think there was a lack of buying. There is need for the SGL to repackage itself and communicate its value to the market competitively, as compared to it being packaged like, you have to do it by force. Mm-hmm. That is point number one. Maybe eventually it can be more efficient than what people already knew. Then the perception that it was a business being taken from the people of the coast and being brought to other people in central Kenya or even in Naivasha, is all those things needed to probably to be addressed, and maybe people will still see value in using it. From where I sit, I think at the end of the day, as a business person, you make decisions based on value and costs. Mm-hmm. For me, whatever will end up being cheaper is what is a better option for me. At the end of the day, for me, the important thing is for the car to get to the showroom on Kiambu Road. Mm-hmm. Whether it comes via the SGR or whether it's carried by the car carrier on the road, for me is immaterial, as long as at the end of the day, the car gets to the showroom.
Or it comes on its own.
Yeah.
Okay. Honorable MWANGI Augustine, I need Irene sales rep contact. If I'm not wrong, 0704-646-664. Okay. 0704-646-664. WANGA 0704-646-664. Okay. That is it. Tuanga simu. Okay. Now, Pauline Cherab tuned in. Asante. Irene. Mm-hmm. Irudi Naivasha, Nairobi, Naivasha, ama ikae Mombasa?
I agree with Eric. It's about a choice. Surprisingly, right now, if we do a cost comparison between using, let's say, the SGR from Mombasa, of course, to Nairobi, where we are doing our business, SGR right now, because of the fuel, again, could even be cheaper. I think it's actually cheaper right now compared to road transport, isn't it? But the issue was previously that, it's just a new rule. It's been imposed. You have been given, I think initially we were even given 60 days, change that. And after this, there's no more extension. This is what this decision that has been made. There are no, those kind of decisions that no questions asked. I remember even business membership organization, we had to, because again, maybe let me just talk about this a bit. When we come to this kind of, because we are discussing more or less, this goes under some policies that affect businesses. It's not possible for business owners by themselves, like Eric goes and tries to meet, I don't know who is in charge of policy making in terms of businesses. It normally works well when it's business membership organizations where, of course, you pay a subscription fee and then you take all these issues together. So I remember even organizations like CAM and KEPSA were really also trying to intervene in these issues. And the main issue was that we've not discussed it. We are not understanding why. Is it because one person is going to benefit from this, or why is it happening? And I think when Eric spoke earlier about the mistrust that exists between the citizens sometimes and the lawmakers, it's just the lack of information. Why are we doing this, participating in this? Some of the things even we resist, by the way, they end up being cheaper for us. That's another fact. Okay. But we are resisting because of the manner in which
we are used to that.
They've been introduced to us. it sometimes sounds like a dictatorship. This is what we are doing starting now. You must do it like that. So, but we have that conversation where we are doing it like this. These are the costs that you're going to be seeing changing in your business. Then we'll adapt it. The business owners are happy, like Eric is saying, that I have a choice. If I find SGR is cheaper, by all means, we are not trying to waste money. We are trying to reduce cost. If I find that road now works for me, I'll do it like that. So we are happy that that directive was issued. That now, do it however you want. We are not being told you must bring with this or you must do this. No, now it's open.
But there's a part of the value chain that favors Mombasa. And I don't know how the people around the SGR would address it on the long term. You see, the issue of getting goods to our business premises, whether it's containerized goods or even motor vehicles, is not just about transporting it from Mombasa to Nairobi, because that is what the SGR basically addresses. A bigger part of it is warehousing and the storage of those goods before payment of taxes, which to a business is a very, very serious issue. That you will find if, for example, if a business knows that it needs 10 containers of certain goods every month, okay? Maybe they are going to ship, say they're going to ship 30 containers. But when those goods get to the port, this business does not have all the taxes required to clear the 30 containers, okay? So they want to clear the 10 containers first, okay, offload that to the market, get the cash flows they need to go for another 10 containers. And one of the things that was disrupted by the SGR is that, there are storage fees around the ICD. And the storage deals that businesses were getting from the CFSs around Mombasa is very, very different. The timelines that somebody wants you to clear your goods when the goods use the SGR and the timelines that you are getting to clear the goods when you use a CFS in Mombasa are completely different. And that was a very, very serious disruption that saw a lot of people's goods get held hostage because of inability to pay the customs and the taxes on time. So if all these concerns can be addressed, if somebody, for example, was getting 90 days almost free, or at a very minimum cost to clear their containers. And now you're telling them, no, as soon as your container gets to my depot, you have to clear your container within 4 days or within 14 days. That's a very huge change in how that business operates. And I would think that what we have is a problem of, boardroom decisions, that are completely detached from the reality of how the practical business works. Before you can come up with a policy to change anything that pertains to shipping and storage of goods, you ought to wear the shoes of the business person who does that practical business and ask yourself what would work for them or what would not work for them. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Pauline Chirap is asking, Eric, do you have a driving school in Kilimani area?
Who, me? No.
You don't. But I think you do private training.
Yeah, I normally do.
You need a driver to come to Kilimani.
Oh, Kilimani? Yeah. I think the nearest we have is going to be at the waterfront, Karen.
Okay.
Or Ridgeways on Kembu Road.
Ridgeways Kembu Road.
Yeah.
Okay. Aye. No personal trainer?
We have a personal trainer who can go on site to where they are.
So they can come to Kilimani?
Yeah.
Okay, that is it, Pauline. They're saying they have someone who can come and do private training. So you can, if that's an option that you want to consider. But also a branch is coming up in Karen at the Waterfront Mall. That's what Erica said. Yeah, so Tamua. On the Bawanga Augustine, about the port, it should be left open with no restrictions. Those who want road, those who want rail, it's upon them. For us not to end up with taxpayers' money going into waste and having ghost dry ports. Okay. Wanga, leo mahamo kukali watu ngumu. All right. It's 26 minutes past 9 a.m. 26 minutes past 9 a.m. It is the Common Sense edition of the 26th of August. Of September 2022. The 26th of September 2022. How many months? 3 months to Christmas. Okay. It's on 3 months to Christmas. Here's the Common Sense edition of the 26th of September 2022. And we are with Sir Eric Mwangi and IRENE Wanjiku. We're making sense of the current business happenings in the business, current happenings in the business environment. We try to make sense of as well on the government policies. As we wind up, lady and gentlemen, what are some of the policy expectations that the business community expects from the new government? I'll start with you, Wanjiku.
So I think the new government is already discussing some of them. We saw the issue of the reporting of the 1 million with the as far as transactions are concerned. I think that's good to me, because you find that I think the limit for sure needs to go up. We'll see more money as far as businesses are concerned. Like, for example, a roof cost maybe, let's say, 2 million. Now, when you have that regulation, sometimes you find that they'll delay in getting the approvals. But if it's raised maybe to 5 or 10 million, then we will. I think to me that looks good for the business operations. We are also hoping to see more happening in terms of the Africa continental free trade issues. We know that now some Kenyans, by the way, are exporting to Ghana. We now have DRC as well. So we are really eyeing that to see how it's going to affect us. Another issue I feel will help the business is probably there could be a policy on speeding up this, or more of prioritizing, the pending bills. Because if you look at the issue of the pending bills, is that they are owed to local producers, that is suppliers or manufacturers. So there will be no capital flight risk that I'm paying somebody in a different country, or they're going to close shop and go. These are Kenyans. And if that money is released to them, then of course we know how money moves around. It's going to unlock a few other things. So I feel that for me, there's really a lot, and we need to look at it besides just being optimistic, because we've talked about optimism. And I love the tackle because we are able to discuss, these ideologies and come up even with solutions that we think at our level are good for us. The issue is that even with the optimism, the business people have to organize themselves in a way that we are able to tap into it. We also heard about the fund. I still don't know how that fund is going to be managed. Is it going to be through the banks or whatever it is? But we have to keep an eye on that so that we learn more about it, and for businesses and for us to see how does that have a direct impact on us. So yeah, those are some of the things I would say that we are eyeing to see what it means for our businesses and what it also means for our economy. Bottom line is, it is business owners that are creating employment. So we also have to be. I remember a time that even the president, before even elections, met with the private sector, and he said that he wants to strengthen to see policies that strengthen the private sector. So I feel that there's a lot that it's going to happen and that's going to be done that we can all tap into. Different industries have different things, It's going to be like maybe a buffet where, depending on your industry, you can pick what works for you.
Sausage, pick broccoli. If you're watching, pick broccoli. And some lime water.
Yeah.
Na upeana namba. Nimeona Pauline anauliza namba.
There is no reason as to why you need 47 licenses for your branded vehicle to operate across the counties. It beats common sense. Okay. We need to make it easy for business people to move their brands and their businesses across the counties. So there's a need for harmonization of the licensing of some of these things. Access to credit is a big thing. I think the government has been spot on using the right vocabulary and saying the right things that needs to be done. The question is whether they will be done, and whether, again, we talked about the trust between the state and the businesses. As we talk about credit, we know that the government doesn't have money to lend. This money is in private banks. So will the government be able to inspire trust between it and the people, the owners of capital, for them to say that this is a good policy environment for us to be able to lend the way you want us to lend. But of course, if the market of Kenya is going to thrive, people must have money on their pockets. there are definitely two ways of increasing money in people's pockets. One, of course, is to give them higher incomes, which the government has no control of. The other way is to try and facilitate and make it easy for people to access credit that they deserve and credit that they can be able to pay for. So those are some of the things that I feel needs to be pushed for things to improve. But one of the things also that I'm looking forward to is policy stability. I think there has been a lot of haphazard announcements, pertaining to specific sectors. If, for example, you come to the motor vehicle sector where I am in, today you have NTSA saying this, tomorrow you have KRA saying that. All this news, sometimes they create instability that is not good for investment and for business. There is need for calm, that there is, people feel this is a business that is protected, is a business that is respected by the authorities. I can be able to invest in it long term. There is a need for conversations, consultations, for the government to listen to the people, for the people to give the government input, for the people to cooperate with the government in us achieving the economic revival that this country so desperately needs. Like Irene says, the hope to create jobs in this country is actually in the hands of entrepreneurs. It is in the hands of businesses. It is the person opening a kinyozi in Umoja, the guy opening a car wash in Kilimani. Those are the people that will create the jobs that the lower end of the pyramid needs. For them to do that, they need to be able to access some credit for them to be able to open those businesses. So the facilitation of all these things is going to be very, very important in us making sure that the economy starts to thrive again. Yeah.
Thank you so much. 34 minutes past 9 a.m. 34 minutes past 9 a.m. This is the tackle. Any tackles of the day? Yeah.
Any tackles of the day? Yeah. Just to...
Hujapeana namba ili kwanza.
Oh, sorry, yeah.
Pauline is waiting for the number.
He's waiting for the number. We give the number right away. This is for the driving school.
Okay, as you look, you'll give it with your tackle of the day. Okay.
Am I giving it?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So I think for me, the tackle of the day will just to say that there's power in what we say, and sometimes when you go even online and all that, people tend to be more on the negative than on the positive. So just to ask that the government is still very new. We are still in very early days. Like Eric said, there is no time to relax, and I think they've hit the ground running. So a bit of positivity also is going to help. Again, we are selling Kenya, even to people in the diaspora. If they hear that we are always complaining, Kenya is so bad, there is no money, they will even be afraid to build anything here. They'll be afraid to invest here because at the end of the day, they are going to think if it's so bad, they are just going to steal my money. So sometimes we may think we are just following and saying, yes, things are bad, it's bad. But at the end of the day, remember, somebody who is not here, your relative in the diaspora or wherever they are, and they were thinking of investing here because they have a bit of more disposable income than we have back here, we'll be scaring them away. So I think when we are speaking, let's also be careful that we don't end up, just digging ourselves deeper. But even as I talk about optimism, of course, optimism works if we work. Okay. Yeah.
Good.
Barack Obama, after his re-election, told the Americans in one of his speeches that we will continue to improve the education system of the country. And we will continue to equip our schools. But we will never come to your house to help your child do the homework. I think we need to face that reality, that is what the government needs to do, but there is what we need to do as a people. The responsibilities that belong to us, working hard, respecting each other, making sure that you're asking yourself, what problems can you solve in the estate that you come from, in the neighborhood that you come from? What small business can you start there? Okay. Those are the things that are going to move this country forward. So the government is creating a good working environment. The people must be willing to do the work.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. You must be willing. The number again, you've not given it.
Yeah, it's 0794 000 111. 0794 000 111. If you call that number, you will be assisted by a gentleman called Gilbert, who is in charge of the driving academy.
Rudia tena. Gilbert. What's the one?
0794, sorry, 000 111.
00
000
Gilbert. 794 000 111. Hi, Dr. Gilbert, Pauline. Thank you. Let's look at the newspapers just very quickly. Let's go through the newspapers. The Standard, Ruta invites 40 clerics to purify State House. Okay, President held Thanksgiving prayers to celebrate his election with hours after jetting back to the country from the US, and urged the clergy to pray for his office and the economy that is choking in that. Okay, Ruta turns to governors in drought crisis. Actually, a number of millions of Kenyans are suffering under drought. Okay, looking at the Business Daily, NSSF interest on savings, it's a 7-year high as income triples. Good news, especially when we're discussing about NSSF. Kenya Pipeline manager fight in court over disputed CV. Okay, Ebola next door. Ebola is in Uganda. We hope it doesn't cross over. All right, and we still want to remind you that you can carry the there is black, there is blue, there is yellow, there is anything that you want. So you can make your order. Please WhatsApp your order to 779-800-010 or 779-800-010. Thanks to all those guys who have been buying. Wherever I move around, I see people in hoodies. Thank you so much for making it happen. I've seen guys from diaspora who keep ordering. So we hope that you're going to have your orders before the end of the week. What you want to buy, then zinakuja to America, Australia. I hope you're going to get your orders complete by the end of this week. So if you've not ordered your hoodie, please do so. WhatsApp your order to 779-800-010 or 779-800-010. To tackle bold, credible, and informed. Thanks for always supporting us and for always standing and ensuring that we're able to run. For us to run better, become better, we all still count on your support. Thanks so much, and may God bless you. This has been the Common Sense edition of the 26th of September 2022, and we've been with Eric Wanjiku, IRENE Wanjiku, CEO REXE and with Eric MWANGI, CEO MARIDADY Motors. It's always a pleasure to have you, ladies and gentlemen. And thank you for continuing to build the nation. We count on you to give us taxes so that we can eat.
We will.
And be accountable for them.
Looking forward to better days, of course. And also to every tackler who's joining us. Thank you so much for always being part of this great team. You're looking forward to better things. Like IRENE has said, we remain optimistic. And we hope that things are going to look up. Of course, if we are optimistic enough, then things will certainly look up. Lakini Kenyans have to be the most difficult people to manage. Kenya. Mimi nilisema acha tu nirudi kanisa na bishop. Siasa ni ngumu. It's been a pleasure having you. This is the talk it ends right now. Bye-bye. We love you and take care. See you tomorrow on the State of the Nation edition. And also on Wednesday, the return of the General. Miguna will be here on Wednesday evening. General Miguna will be in on Wednesday evening. So I hope you join him as he tells us what is cooking where, what is popping where. Until then, take care and see you. Bye-bye.